For most of human history, the world felt simple. Stone was stone, fire was fire, matter was solid, and energy was something separate. A rock could fall, a flame could burn, but no one imagined that they were in any fundamental way the same thing. Even early science believed this separation. Matter had mass, weight, and shape. Energy had motion, heat, and light. They lived in different categories of reality. Isaac Newton's universe reinforced this idea. In his physics, mass was eternal and fixed. Energy could change form, but matter itself was untouchable. The universe, according to Newton, was a grand machine made of solid parts. And for more than 200 years, no one questioned it. Until one quiet thought experiment changed everything. In the early 1900s, Einstein was not famous. He worked as a patent clerk, reviewing designs for machines most people would never build. Yet in his mind, he was chasing something far stranger. Einstein asked a question that seemed innocent. What would I see if I rode alongside a beam of light? According to classical physics, this should be possible, but the equations broke down. Light refused to behave like ordinary motion. No matter how fast you moved, light always moved away from you at the same speed. This was not a small problem. It meant that space and time themselves were not fixed. They bent and adjusted depending on motion. In 1905, his miracle year, Einstein published a series of papers. One of them introduced special relativity. Hidden inside that theory was a short equation, so small it almost looked unimportant. E equals mc². At first, even Einstein did not fully grasp how revolutionary it was. Let's slow down and truly understand it. E stands for energy, m stands for mass, c is the speed of light, about 300 million meters per second. But the most important part is c². The speed of light is enormous. When you square it, the number becomes unimaginably large. This means something shocking. Even a tiny amount of mass contains an astronomical amount of energy. Mass is not just something that has energy. Mass is energy, trapped, compressed, slowed down. There is no sharp line between matter and energy. They are two states of the same underlying reality. A rock is not solid in the deepest sense. It is energy frozen into structure. You are not separate from the forces that power stars. You are made from them. This was not philosophy, it was mathematics, and mathematics does not lie. Every morning, the sun rises without effort. It warms your skin, it lights the sky. It feels gentle, but deep inside the sun, something extraordinary is happening. At the sun's core, hydrogen atoms are pressed together under immense gravity. The pressure is so intense that atomic nuclei begin to fuse. 4 hydrogen nuclei combine to form one helium nucleus. But here's the strange part. The helium nucleus weighs slightly less than the hydrogen nuclei that created it. The missing mass doesn't vanish, it becomes energy. This is E equals mc², quietly unfolding every second. About 4 million tons of mass are converted into energy inside the sun every second, yet the sun barely notices the loss. That energy escapes as light and heat, travels 150 million kilometers through space, and reaches your closed eyes as you rest. You are warmed by converted mass. This is not metaphor, this is measurable physics. For years, E equals mc² seemed abstract, beautiful, elegant, but dangerous if misunderstood. Physicists needed proof. In the 1930s and 40s, experiments began to confirm it. In nuclear reactions, scientists observed something impossible under old physics. The total mass after a reaction was less than before. This missing mass exactly matched the energy released, calculated using E equals mc². Later, particle accelerators made it undeniable. When particles collide at high speeds, energy creates mass. Mass turns back into energy. Matter can be created from pure energy and destroyed back into radiation. This happens every day inside particle detectors. E equals mc² was no longer an idea, it was a law of nature. The same equation that powers stars, also explains the most destructive weapons ever created. In nuclear fission, heavy atoms like uranium split apart. A tiny fraction of mass is lost. That tiny fraction becomes an explosion. Not because matter disappears, but because matter reveals what it always was: energy. This realization deeply troubled Einstein. Although he did not work directly on the atomic bomb, he later said, "I made one great mistake in my life." E equals mc² was morally neutral. Human choices were not. The equation erased the boundary between matter and energy, but it also erased the illusion that mass was harmless. Here is a strange and quiet truth. If you could convert all the mass in your body into energy using E equals mc², the energy released would exceed thousands of nuclear bombs, all electricity used on Earth in many years. Yet you feel perfectly still. Why? Because this energy is locked inside mass. Nature only allows tiny leaks in stars, reactors, and particles. Your body is not dangerous. It is stable energy. This does not make you powerful. It makes you finely balanced. Reality is calm, not because energy is absent, but because it is carefully constrained. Here is something most people never realize. When you heat an object, it becomes heavier. The increase is extremely small, far beyond everyday measurement, but it is real. A hot cup of tea weighs more than a cold one. Why? Because added heat is added energy, and energy contributes to mass. This was predicted by E equals mc² and later confirmed experimentally. Even light trapped in a mirrored box increases the box's mass. Energy resists gravity. Energy falls. Energy weighs something. The universe does not distinguish between substance and activity. Einstein's equation quietly connects to something even stranger: time. When objects move faster, their energy increases. That energy adds to their effective mass. And as mass energy increases, time slows down. This is why GPS satellites must correct for relativistic time dilation. High-energy particles live longer than expected. Motion changes the flow of time itself. E equals mc² is not just about explosions. It is about why time is flexible. Time bends because energy exists, and energy exists because mass does. Here is something deeply unsettling and completely real. Empty space has energy. Even when all matter is removed, even when no particles remain, space itself still contains energy. This is called vacuum energy. According to quantum physics, empty space constantly produces and destroys tiny particles, briefly borrowing energy from nothingness. And here is the connection to E equals mc². Those fleeting particles have mass. That mass exists only because energy exists. In modern physics, mass can emerge from pure energy fluctuations. Matter can come from emptiness. This idea is supported by quantum field theory, the Casimir effect, and particle-antiparticle creation experiments. Reality is not built from solid blocks. It is built from restless energy. This fact surprises even science students. Most of your body's mass does not come from particles. It comes from energy. Inside every proton and neutron, quarks move at relativistic speeds. Gluons bind them together. Enormous binding energy exists. That energy contributes to mass. In fact, over 95% of a proton's mass comes from internal energy, not from the quarks themselves. Your weight is mostly motion, force, energy frozen into structure. E equals mc² explains why. You are not built from stuff. You are built from activity. Einstein opened the door. Others walked through it. Max Planck. He showed that energy comes in discrete packets, quanta. This hinted that mass and energy might be interchangeable at fundamental levels. Niels Bohr. He revealed that matter behaves like waves and particles, blurring substance even further. Richard Feynman. He showed that particles can appear, disappear, transform into energy and back. Feynman diagrams literally show matter as energy paths through space-time. E equals mc² was not isolated. It became the foundation of modern physics. Modern physics reveals something unsettling. Mass is not a basic ingredient of reality. It is an effect. In the deepest theories we have, quantum field theory and the Standard Model, particles begin their existence massless. Without interaction, electrons, quarks, and other fields would move at the speed of light. What slows them down, what gives them weight, is interaction with energy fields. The most famous of these is the Higgs field. Particles gain mass by interacting with it, not by containing substance, but by exchanging energy. Mass is resistance. Mass is delay. Mass is energy struggling to move freely. This understanding directly extends E equals mc². Mass does not store energy. Mass is energy interacting with space-time.
The Higgs field is not located somewhere. It is everywhere. Even now, as you rest, this field passes through you. It does not push, it does not pull. It simply exists, a silent ocean of energy. Particles moving through this field gain inertia, not mass as a thing, but mass as a relationship. Different particles interact differently with this field, which is why they have different masses. E equals mc² quietly governs this process. Mass appears where energy interactions occur. Where interaction weakens, mass fades. Reference: Weinberg, The Quantum Theory of Fields, Atlas and CMS Experiments. Einstein later extended his thinking into general relativity. Here, gravity is not caused by mass alone. Gravity responds to energy. Light bends gravity. Heat curves spacetime. Pressure contributes to gravitational pull. This is subtle but crucial. In Einstein's field equations, mass and energy are inseparable. Gravity does not ask what is matter, it asks how much energy is here. This is why neutron stars curve spacetime intensely. Radiation affects cosmic expansion. Even empty space influences gravity. E equals mc² becomes geometry. Energy tells space how to curve. Curved space tells energy how to move. Reference: Einstein, 1915, General Relativity. Misner, Thorne, Wheeler, Gravitation. A black hole is not a solid object. It has no surface. It is energy compressed beyond ordinary meaning. When matter falls into a black hole, its identity disappears. Only three properties remain: mass, charge, spin. Everything else, structure, shape, history, is erased. Mass here is pure energy content. A black hole's mass increases when it absorbs light. Even photons, massless particles, add weight. This is E equals mc² in its most extreme form. Energy becomes gravity so strong that time itself slows nearly to a halt. Reference: Hawking, A Brief History of Time, Black Hole Mass Energy Measurements, LIGO. Look at the cosmos. Stars, galaxies, nebulae. They are not the main substance of the universe. Over 95% of the universe is something else: dark energy, dark matter. Dark matter behaves like mass, but does not shine. Dark energy behaves like energy, but does not cluster. Both obey E=mc². Both curve spacetime. Both shape cosmic destiny. The universe is not built from what we see, but from what acts gravitationally. Reference: Planck Mission 2018, Lambda CDM Cosmological Model. In quantum theory, absolute stillness is forbidden. Even at absolute zero, particles vibrate. This is called zero-point energy. It is unavoidable. Energy cannot be removed completely. Mass cannot be stripped of motion. Existence itself is restless. E=mc² tells us why. As long as something exists, energy exists with it. And as long as energy exists, so does mass. Reference: Heisenberg uncertainty principle, quantum harmonic oscillators. In modern physics, energy is no longer seen only as motion or heat. It is also information. When a system has energy, it has the capacity to change state, and change carries information. In quantum theory, every particle is described not by a solid position, but by a wave function, a mathematical structure encoding probabilities. Energy determines how that wave function evolves in time. Mass, through E=mc², becomes stored information about how a system resists change. The heavier something is, the harder it is to alter its informational state. Mass is memory. Energy is possibility. This connection appears in quantum mechanics, statistical mechanics, black hole physics. Reference: Shannon information theory applied to physics, Seth Lloyd, Programming the Universe. Black holes deepen this idea further. When matter falls into a black hole, the information it carries seems to vanish. Yet physics forbids true loss of information. This created one of the deepest puzzles in science, the black hole information paradox. Stephen Hawking showed that black holes slowly emit radiation. This radiation carries energy, and through E=mc², it carries mass away. Over unimaginable timescales, a black hole evaporates. What remains is the question. Modern theories suggest that information is encoded in the black hole's surface area, subtle energy fluctuations, quantum correlations. Mass becomes a record of past events. Energy becomes history unfolding. Reference: Hawking radiation, 1974, Bekenstein entropy, Maldacena holographic principle. There is a strange idea gaining support in theoretical physics. The universe may be holographic. This means all the information inside a region of space may be encoded on its boundary. In this view, mass and energy are not fundamental. They are projections. E=mc² still holds, but it describes how projections behave within spacetime. Mass becomes a shadow of deeper energetic information. Energy flows not just through space, but through relationships. Reference: Toft, 1993, Maldacena, 1997. As an object moves faster, its energy increases. In relativity, this added energy contributes to its effective mass. This is why nothing with mass can reach the speed of light. As speed increases, energy increases, mass increases, time slows. E=mc² is quietly at work. Mass is not fixed. It grows with motion. Particles become heavier simply by moving. This has been measured in particle accelerators repeatedly. Reference: relativistic energy-momentum relation, CERN accelerator experiments.
Light has no rest mass, yet it carries energy. And because energy gravitates, light has weight. This is why light bends around stars, gravitational lenses form, black holes trap photons. Einstein predicted this. Experiments confirmed it. E equals mc² does not require matter for gravity. Energy alone is enough. Stars burn, galaxies evolve, particles decay. The universe is not static. It is a slow transformation of mass into energy. From the Big Bang onward, mass has been gradually converting into radiation. The cosmic microwave background is a fossil of this process. Matter itself is temporary. Energy persists. E equals mc² explains the arrow of cosmic time. Reference: Big Bang cosmology, cosmic microwave background, Kobe, Wemap, Planck. At the atomic level, electrons do not orbit like planets. Atoms are mostly empty space. Forces, not contact, create solidity. What you feel as solid is electromagnetic energy resisting overlap. Matter is energy refusing compression. Your hands never truly touch anything. E equals mc² explains why resistance has weight. Reference: Atomic structure models, electromagnetic force theory. Time does not exist on its own. In modern physics, time emerges from change, and change requires energy. When nothing changes, time has no meaning. At the quantum level, the passage of time is tied to how a system's energy states evolve. Higher energy differences mean faster change. Lower energy differences mean slower evolution. Mass, through E equals mc², becomes a measure of how slowly a system changes. Heavier systems evolve more slowly in time. This is not philosophy. It is encoded in quantum equations. Time flows because energy rearranges itself. A clock near a massive object ticks more slowly. This has been measured on mountains, in airplanes, on satellites. The reason is not gravity alone. It is energy density. Where energy is concentrated, space-time curbs. Where space-time curbs, time stretches. Mass slows time because mass is energy. E equals mc² quietly explains why the universe allows multiple speeds of time. Every object carries its own rhythm. Reference: Gravitational time dilation experiments, GPS relativistic corrections. Some physicists suspect something radical. Rest mass may not be permanent. At very high energies, like those near the Big Bang, particles behave as if they are massless. In these conditions, symmetries are restored. Mass disappears. Energy dominates. As the universe cooled, mass emerged. This suggests mass is a phase of energy, just like ice is a phase of water. E equals mc² remains true, but mass may only be energy in a slowed, cooled state. Reference: electroweak symmetry breaking, early universe cosmology. Energy is never destroyed, but its form is constantly changing. Mass can become light, heat, motion, curvature of spacetime. E equals mc² is the translator between these forms. In particle physics, reactions are balanced not by matter, but by energy. Matter is bookkeeping. Energy is the real currency. Reference: Noether theorem, conservation laws in physics. The speed of light is not just about light. It is the maximum speed at which energy can move. Because mass is energy, mass inherits this limit.
Nothing with mass can exceed it, not because of force, but because of structure. E equals mc² contains this limit implicitly. As energy increases, mass increases, preventing further acceleration. The universe protects its own geometry. Reference: Lorentz invariance, relativistic kinematics. In quantum field theory, particles are not tiny balls. They are excitations of energy fields. An electron is a ripple. A quark is a vibration. Mass measures how tightly that vibration is bound. E equals mc² connects vibration to weight. Matter is music played slowly. Reference: Quantum Field Theory Foundations, Dirac equation. Two particles can be identical in every way, except energy. That difference alone changes mass, lifetime, behavior. Energy defines identity. Mass remembers energy's history. Nothing is defined by substance alone. Everything is defined by interaction. Reference: Particle state transitions, energy estate states.
It is made of events. Each event redistributes energy. Mass appears where energy lingers, disappears where energy flows freely. E equals mc² does not describe objects. It describes processes. Reality is not static. It is unfolding. Stillness costs energy. Atoms remain stable because forces balance energy precisely. Remove that balance, and mass dissolves. Everything you see exists because energy holds a delicate shape. E equals mc² explains why existence itself is an ongoing effort. I will continue drifting deeper into energy as curvature, why equations predict reality before observation, how E equals mc² links microphysics to cosmology, and why certainty dissolves at deeper scales. Just say, continue. Yes, and gradually come to the end. There is something quietly mysterious about equations. They often predict truths before humans observe them. E equals mc² was written on paper before nuclear energy was measured, before stars were understood, before particle accelerators existed. The equation did not follow discovery. Discovery followed the equation. This happens because mathematics describes relationships, not appearances. Matter looks solid. Energy looks invisible. But equations ignore appearances. They speak directly to structure. Your senses evolved for survival, not truth. They translate energy interactions into color, sound, texture, weight. What feels solid is energy pushing back. What feels empty is energy below perception. E equals mc² explains why your experience is stable, even though reality underneath is fluid. Stability is not solidity, it is balance. Every particle carries a history, how it formed, how it interacted, how energy settled into it. Mass is that history moving slowly. Light has almost no memory, it moves freely. Heavy matter remembers more, it moves reluctantly. E equals mc² connects memory to motion. The heavier something is, the longer its story unfolds. Even now, atoms vibrate, fields fluctuate. Space itself breathes with energy. Absolute rest does not exist. E equals mc² guarantees this. As long as mass exists, energy is present.
As long as energy is present, change continues. Existence is motion slowed, but never stopped. E equals mc² does not shout, it whispers. It says, matter is not separate. Energy is not distant. Reality is unified. The universe is not built from pieces. It is built from transformations, from one form gently becoming another. You do not need to remember the numbers. You do not need the symbols, just the feeling of it, that beneath weight there is motion, beneath stillness there is energy, and beneath matter there is no hard boundary at all, only change, moving slowly enough to feel like rest. And as the universe continues its quiet exchange between mass and energy, you are free to let your thoughts do the same, becoming lighter, slower, until even thinking feels unnecessary.